Hi kids, it's me, Rachy Rach, coming at you live from Oceanside. We've got the fisherman in the back, and I've got a book about fishing. Pretty awesome. Let's do this. Piggy and Dad Go Fishing by David Martin. Piggy and Dad Go Fishing. Piggy woke up excited. Today he was going fishing with Dad for the very first time. Oh, going fishing is very exciting. Dad was already up getting the fishing poles ready and making Piggy's favorite lunch, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on squishy bread. Hey, I had that for lunch today. Not even kidding. Now, all we need are worms, and tonight we'll have the world's most delicious fried fresh fish for supper. I said it perfectly, said Dad. So Piggy dug up worms faster than you could say delicious fried fresh fish. Delicious fried fresh fish. It's hard to say. I'm not going to try it again. When they got to the river, Daddy asked Piggy if he wanted to bait his own hook. Oh, that's very exciting. You have to put a hook right through a worm. Okay, said Piggy. He took a worm out and hung it over his hook. The worm wiggled and wiggled and then it fell off. Piggy tried again. This time he tied the worm in a knot and put the hook around it. And then the worm untied itself. Phooey! Piggy, I'm afraid you really have to poke the hook through the worm. Piggy looked at the worm. The worm smiled at Piggy. Do you want me to do it? Dad asked. Dad looked at the worm. The worm smiled at Dad. Let's use bread for bait instead, said Dad. The worm smiled at him. Has a worm ever smiled at you? So Piggy and Dad pinched bread from their sandwiches, squished it in little balls, and baited their hooks. Then they threw in their lines. Woohoo! Look at those guys behind us. They're doing it right now. So cool. Now, said Dad as he sat down, you have to be very patient. Fishing takes a lot of waiting. A fish has to be hungry. It has to think about eating. It has to find the bait. It has to look at the bait. It has to think about it and say to itself, that looks pretty tasty. It has to nibble the bait and decide if it really is good. And finally, it has to bite the whole thing and hook and all. Piggy looked at Daddy and said, wow, that's a lot of words, Dad. Sheesh. But Piggy wasn't good at waiting. He pulled his line out and he threw his line back in, and then he pulled it out and he threw it back in and pulled it out, threw it back in. Oh my goodness, nothing's happening, he said to his dad. You can't hurry fish, said Dad. So they both fell asleep. But they held on to their poles, thank goodness, because suddenly Piggy's pole bent hard. I got a bite, he shouted. Piggy pulled, the fish pulled, Piggy pulled again, the fish pulled again, and then the fish jumped. Piggy slipped, uh-oh. Dad grabbed Piggy. Dad slipped too, splash. And finally Piggy reeled in his fish. They caught it. Good job, said Dad. It's a beauty. Oh, his first fish. Piggy smiled, but then he looked at his fish, and his fish was looking right back at him. My fish looks sad, said Piggy. Do you think he really feels sad? I don't know, I never thought about it, said Dad. Piggy and the fish stared at each other. Can I let him go, said Piggy. Sure, said Dad. So Piggy slipped the fish back into the water. Bye-bye, fishy, said Piggy. Watch out for hooks next time. The fish flipped its tail and was gone, happy as could be. Then, while they ate lunch, Piggy made more bread balls and tossed them into the water. What are you doing, said Dad. I'm fishing, said Piggy. But you're just feeding the fish, said Dad. I know, that's because it's a different kind of fishing. You should try it, said Piggy. Look at all the fish, said Dad. This is fun. Why didn't I ever think of feed the fish fishing? Those fish look really happy, don't they? The next day, Piggy and Dad went fishing again. As a special treat, Dad brought donuts. Some for Piggy, some for himself, and the rest for the fish. Fishy donuts! That's hilarious! And that is the end. And you know what we do at the end of a book? We jump up and down and we say, yay! Woohoo! Bye guys, love you.